Hey everybody, welcome to the Black Sheep Props channel. I'm Steve and I'm here to teach you the tips, tools, techniques, and materials for building your very own super cool EVA foam props. Now in our last build we went video game when we built Hunter's Knife from the game Destiny. And if you missed that build, we'll include the link in the description below to our channel's homepage so you can go over there and check out Hunter's Knife or any of the other super cool builds we have there. And we're going to stay video game this time, so without further ado, Black Sheep Props would like to introduce you to the newest member of the family. Ho, 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 ho. Ha, ha. Holy smokes, look at that thing. Pew. That is beautiful. Check it out, man. That thing is complex. A lot of shaping and angling we did on here to get these body shapes, but totally turned out cool. It is the Maliwan from Borderlands. That's right. Check that thing out. Wow. Really involved build, but not hard. Just involved. A lot of crazy shaping on here. We've taken this whole big front section of the body and we've tapered it back here to get skinnier so it meets the width of this piece, and we did it on the bottom too. It started real thick and we taper it down to meet right up with this piece, and tons of little details with X-Acto knives and wood burners to get a lot of grooves in there to make it look like compartments. And but other than that, other than those two kind of difficult pieces, it's all the same techniques we always do. Layering up, taking our time, cutting out, rounding edges off, doing little details with wood burners and X-Acto knives and stuff like that. And then we painted it to look all nice and weathered up. That is totally grody looking, covered in soot and grime and scratches, because we love doing that here. Alright, so in this episode, making an EVA foam Maliwan, we're going to go step by step through how to make it, seal it, and paint it. And if you are feeling courageous and you want to build along with us, we've got a template for this thing, so we're going to include the link in the description below to our storefront so you can go and pinch a template if you want, or not, that's cool too. Alright man, I'm going to zip it. If you're ready to hit it, let's make something. We're going to start with a big 48mm piece, and we're going to put a 6mm piece on both sides. Okie doke, there we go. Now we're going to... Okay, there we go. Now you know the drill with contact cement. Coat both pieces, let them both completely dry. See, this is already almost dry. Let this dry, and then after they're both completely dry, then it makes contact. There we go. All right, there we go. That is thick. A 48 in the middle and a 6 on each side. All right, there we go. Now we can go over to the bandsaw and the scroll saw and cut this out. Okay, now we actually forgot one cut we were supposed to do first. We were supposed to taper this piece before we cut this, but it should be okay. So we went ahead and cut our template out that's got the taper on it. See, and that's where we want to go. We want to go from this shoulder right here to the end, and from this shoulder to the end. All right, there's our shape. And we've got the taper, which is cool. All right, now we can move forward. Okay, now we're going to do another cut. Okay, so we want to taper this big thick bottom piece down. Okay, and then we drew how far we wanted it to go up, and then we transferred that line over, and we did that on both sides. And then we just saw through. Go from line to line. Okay, there we go. Perfect. See that? Now it comes to a taper right there. Okay, now we got our dust mask on. Now you hear us say this all the time. Don't be a dum-dum.
Don't Dremel and throw dust all over the place because you don't want to be breathing foam dust into your lungs. So gloves, dust mask. All right, there we go. We've got a nice shaped edge. All the way. Okay, we're doing a lot of damage here, all right? Now we're gonna... Okay, now we're gonna come back in with the rough bit. All right, we've got our taper here. We've got our taper here. All right, we're gonna come in with our roughest grit first, our 80 grit, and we're gonna try to clean this up, right? Let's see what we get. All right, looking pretty good. Now we're gonna come in with our 220. That's a little bit finer grit. Okay, now our 320. All right, now let's bring in some heat and let's seal it. All right, check that out. That is pretty nice. All right, now, holy cow, we made a mess, and I mean a mess. This is exactly why you gotta wear your dust mask, because you do not want this going in your lungs. All right. Okay, now we're gonna take these two little 12mm pieces that are gonna go on the side of the shape we just made. We're gonna knock these out, and we're gonna bevel the edges. We're gonna stand our knife up so we can spin right around these corners. Okay, now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be shaping these edges. Okay, we want to taper all the way from the bottom up to this line, all the way around. Okay. All right, now what we did here is we drew these lines, okay, right up here and around these sides and then over the top and onto the other side. And we did the same thing here. We drew these down at the bottom. We have to go around the bottom and over to this side. And then we're gonna come in with our wood burner and we're gonna stop at the end right there. Go right through like that. Go right. Goes up, around, and down the other side. Now we're just going to take our time and do that here and here. Okay, there we go. All these lines go around the top to that side and then down here. These little details, really nice. Took our time. Went around there so it looks like a little bit of a recessed compartment there. All right. And we're going to line up flush all the way down. We've got this cool bevel on both sides and it curves a little bit because we tapered our body. Okay, now we're going to come in with this 36 and a 6 and we're going to attach them together to make the front barrel. Right. All right, there we go. Nice. Trace an inside line because we don't want contact cement in there. Okay, now we're going to bring in our other template. That was our front cut. Now we're going to roll it over and bring this piece of the template in, and we're going to do our side cut. Ooh, cool. All right. There we go. All right, let's tighten that up with some heat. Okay, we're going to knock out this 18mm triangle. Okay, now we're going to come in with our brass tube. We're going to take an extra piece of 3mm and 6mm and poke out 2 of each. All right, a super glue puddle. Okay, now here's the back handle piece. This is mostly going to be made up of a big 36mm, so we're going to go ahead and cut this outer shape out on the bandsaw. Okay, there we go. There's the outer shape. We are going to have to poke a hole through these 3 spots right here, and then we can go over to the scroll saw and we can feed the scroll saw blade through that hole and we can cut these inner pieces out. And what we're going to do is we're going to come in with different size Forstner bits because there's different diameters to the corners. There's 1, 2, probably 3 different diameters. So we've got our 3. We're going to poke out our holes. Okay, there we go. Now we can feed our scroll saw blade through here and cut the rest out. All right. Check that out. Pretty funky. We transferred all of our lines over. Got our dust mask on. Let's get our smooth bit. Let's do some of the areas that require the smooth bit. Okay, now we're gonna swap out for our rough bit. All right, there we go. That is a ton of shaping, but that feels pretty darn good right there. Not bad. Let's come in with some of our sanding sticks here. Let's get our 220. Let's try to smooth this edge off a little bit. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to come in with our X-Acto knife and we are going to do this line right around both of these sides, okay? Alright, now we've got our X-Acto crease around here. Now we're going to come in with our ruler and we're going to burn a bunch of these details, okay? Now remember, this is burning plastic, so we want to make sure we put our dust mask on and we have a fan off to the side that blows the fumes out of our face. All right, be careful. All right, there we go, check it out. We've got here, all the way around here, these little holes, the triangle, that's all with the wood burner. And we did it on both sides. And then we made our cut right here with our X-Acto knife, okay? So now we're gonna come in with some heat and we're gonna tighten this foam up. And besides tightening it up, we're going to open up these creases right here. That is nice, man. That thing's shaped up sweet. We've got these nice grooves from the wood burner. We got this nice crease from the X-Acto knife. All right, now we're gonna go over to the bandsaw. We're gonna knock this end off. All right, there we go. We cut that off. Now, the reason we did that is we're gonna get our Dremel out and we're gonna soften these edges up. There we go. All right, that is pretty sharp, man. Loving that. All right, here's a couple pieces that are gonna go on here and here and in here. All right, that's a 24mm piece, some 2mm, and a 6mm for our trigger. All right. Perfect. Get it kind of centered. Got a second to move it around. Nice. $6mm trigger. Make sure the whole edge is coated. Sweet trigger. All right, let's get this piece in here. All right, but we're going to be rounding the front of this. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut our piece out, but we're going to leave it extra long, like that. Now we're going to get some gloves on and a dust mask, and we're going to Dremel this front, and we're going to try to round it over. Okay, now we're going to come down here and we're going to cut right around the front where that little fringe hangs off right there. Ooh, that is nice. All right, let's get our 220 sanding stick out. Let's smooth that out a little bit. Perfect. Now that we've rounded it, now we're going to make our cut on our lines. Okay, there we go. Okay, now we're going to have to carefully get this in here, because if it touches down somewhere we don't want it to touch down, we're in big trouble. All right, we got it up there, we got it down there, and we got it there. Nice. All right. Cool. All right, now we're going to take this super huge 48mm piece and cut this shape out on the bandsaw. All right, there we go. Check that out. We've got these cool angles on the side. Now we're going to flip it over and we're going to do a side cut. All right, now here was our pattern. But because as you're cutting this out, sometimes things can shift a little bit. This, just like that. So we wanted to lay it in there and we wanted to trace around this curve so we can make sure this curve fit perfectly, which is what that pencil line is. All right, so let's make that new cut. Okay, there we go. We've got the taper at the top and then it flares out at the bottom. All right, we don't want to touch it down in the wrong spot. Okay. Okay, now we're set. Wow, very. I'm pretty nervous here. All right, so what we're gonna have to do is we're going to pull this out of the way. All right, so we can get this. Okay, we're in the corner. Now we're going to lay down here exactly like we need to be, right there. We did it. We got it in there. Now this one we're going to put right down there, and we're going to squeeze our... Okay, we're going to make sure that we get really great contact everywhere. All right, did we do it? Woo! Yeah, we did it. Check that out. We're tight all the way down through here, all the way down this edge. I don't see any gaps. All the way down here. Man, that was kind of scary. Okay, now we're going to make the little piece that goes right in the back right here. That's going to be a 12 and a 3mm piece. Okay, there we go. To do a test wrap. Here, all right, now that's our length. Like so. All right, now we're going to lay it down. We're just going to roll it like that. It comes short on the sides, and it comes short on the length. We're going to push it down, and we're going to squeeze it together. So we've got the bottom and the two sides. All right, now we're coming in with a 2mm piece. We're going to pop a couple of those out with our brass tube. All right, there we go. There's two of those. Now we're going to come in with a smaller brass tube and pop two more out. All right, we're going to come in and put a little puddle of super glue down. Dip them in. There. And spin it around, and then we'll go right through there. All right. I'll get the other one, and we're going to stick it down, but we're going to leave a little tiny bit of a gap right in the middle, like that. There we go. All right, now we got a couple little spots. We're going to make a rivet with our Dremel bit. Okay, there we go, right there. And then we've got one on this side and one on that side. Okay, now we're going to start to make our top section where we've got kind of our scope that you look through. It's going to be a 24mm, a 3, and a bunch of little 2s. Okay, so we're going to start by taking our Forstner bit, and we're going to go over to the drill press, and we're going to poke out this perfect hole right here. All right, there we go. Perfect circle. All right, now we're going to go over to the bandsaw and the scroll saw, and we're going to cut the outer part out. Okay, there we go. Pretty nice. Now let's clean this edge up a little bit. All right, now let's take our Dremel. Let's put our smooth bit back in. Let's round off those edges just a little bit. All right, now let's tighten that up with some heat. Okay, now we're going to come in and we're going to take this 3mm piece with our knife tilted. All right, here's some 2mm pieces. We're going to cut all these out. Like that. Perfect. Right there. Right there. And there. Make sure we get the whole area coated. Alright, I've got the little raised piece on both sides. Now this Don't just drop it down. Make sure we're in the right spot. Okay. All right, very cool. All right. Okay, here we go. We're going to do our cartridges. They're going to be made up of 3mm, 12mm dowels, and an 8mm dowel. Now, we drew our pattern on here, but we did a test wrap. We took a 3mm piece and we wrapped it around our dowel to get the right length. And these two new lines we drew are our new length, okay? So those lines are where we're going to be cutting. But the rest of these lines, we're going to be putting some detail in, and we're going to be using our wood burner for that detail. Now, when we're going to tip the knife just a little bit when we cut through. Set this down pretty close to the center. Really nice. Now we're going to use these little pieces sticking out on the end, okay? Now we want to measure this gap right across here. Very nice. Okay, we've got these little 10mm pieces. We're gonna... There we go. There in the sort of in the middle. Put it right down on there like so. Very cool. All right, now we can look right through here and it's going to go right through the sight. Okay, now this might be kind of tough. We're going to try to do these side details. Don't know how successful we'll be, but in theory, we should be able to nail it. All right, so we're going to come in with this 36mm piece. We're going to do this first cut right here on the bandsaw. Now, we're going to bring in our other template. Okay, there we go. So we have our curved cut this way, and then we have our top cut this way. We want to bevel with our Dremel from the bottom edge up to that peak, and from this bottom edge up to the peak. So it's going to be a real funky shape. So let's get some gloves on and the dust mask and let's try to do it. Okay, that worked. I do not believe it. All right, let's clean off all of our little frayed edges. Okay, there we go. That is crazy. All right, now. Okay, that's the one right there. All right, so we've got our Forstner bit. We're going to go over to the drill press, and now we're going to pop those two little holes out. Stick that on there. And we're going to follow our edge down just like that. Okay. So we've got a taper on both sides, and then it goes down to a smooth front. Okay, now those circles are going to be made up of 3mm and 2mm circles. Really easy stuff. We're going to put them right in the center of our big 3mm piece. Okay, now we're going to come in and do the exact same thing we just did, shaping the two sides of this little piece, but we're going to do it for two larger pieces, okay? Same thing, 36mm. We're going to do this cut first. Okay, there we go. All right, that was our first cut. Now we're going to do our second cut. So let's go ahead and transfer that over. All right, there we go. There's two of them. Okay, now we've got this little box drawn on here. We're going to come in. All right, there we go. All right, now we're going to come in with our Dremel bit. We're going to make a little rivet mark there. Okay, here's a little 6mm dowel we're coming in with. Now what we're going to do is we're going to just split this thing right down the middle. We got a really nice little bevel there on the end. All right, there we go. Check that out, man. That thing is nuts. These shape things right here are totally crazy. Wow. All right, that's it. That with that last little detail, putting this little split half-round 6mm dowel down on the top there, that brings the build portion of our Maliwan to a close. Okay, we didn't film it, but we just went out and we coated our whole piece with our Plastidip. You've seen us do this a million times. Just take your time, spray it evenly, build up coats, and just go one coat at a time and get it a little bit thicker all over the whole piece. And there you go. We're going to let it dry all the way through, then we're going to start painting it. Okay, now we're going to come in and start painting. This should not be hard. Here's our Indigo Night. It's a really dark blue. We're just going to tap around. It doesn't matter if we get it outside of our area because we're going to be going over it with multiple different colors. So we're just... All right, there we go. We've got the blue on both sides around the bottom. Pretty cool. And it doesn't matter if we're kind of raggedy here because we're going to be masking off to do the next color. So there we go. Let's leave this alone for a little bit. Let's let it dry and then we'll move on. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to do some hand painting. All right, we're going to come in with our True Blue Now we loosely put some tape here. It doesn't really stick that well, especially over intricate little curves and things. So we're going to come in with a brush and we're going to follow this tape. We're not going to use the tape, but we're going to follow it. Okay. And we're going to paint our straight line using our tape as a guide. Okay. All right, there we go. Nice. See that? We didn't actually use the tape. We just used it kind of as a guide. Right now. Okay, just here at the edge. Okay, then we're going to come back in with the sponge to coat all the rest of it. Okay, now we're going to come in with our sponge and we're going to fill in the rest of it. All right, that's what we wanted. We just wanted to get the sharp lines started, and then we'll just come in careful like this and we'll fill in. All right, nice. That is really cool. Not hard. Not. Okay, now we're using our brush to get underneath our cartridges right here. All right. Okay, there we go. We are completely coated with our true blue on both sides. It's looking good. Now, if you notice, when we used the sponge brush, we left some dark in all the crevices, and our paint's a little bit blotchy. All right, we didn't cover it solid. You can kind of see little broken up areas where you can see it's a little bit darker, where you can see through to the black. A little bit blotchy, and that's exactly what we want, because we're not doing this one clean. We're weathering this one up to look really dirty. So that totally helps right off the bat, leaving the dark in the crevices and leaving the paint a little bit broken up. And there we go. Easy stuff. We'll let it dry and we'll move on. All right, now we're going to come in with our margarita. It's like a lime, sort of, and this is going down kind of oily, like a acrylic does sometimes. So what we'll do is we'll do a couple coats. All right, there we go. Several coats on our trigger. All right, now we're going to come in with our black. All right, that's it. Just take our time. We're going to cut in all over the whole piece with our black. All right, there we go. All of our black areas are covered. We just took our time and we cut in. That's looking pretty good. Okay, now we're going to come in with our silver. And the reason we're using the sponge brush is because we want to leave the naturally dark corners everywhere to help. All right, there we go. We've got some silver details all around this thing, real small ones. And now we're coming in with some wrought iron. All right, there we go. That's pretty nice. We've just got some of our areas broken up with some of the wrought iron all around the black areas. And then when we flip this around to this side, look at that. That's really nice. Just enough to break it up. Okay, everywhere there's some black. There we go. All right, we're coming in with our Calypso Sky, which is a super light blue. Now what we were supposed to do is these little things right here are supposed to be that Calypso Sky, that really light blue, and not silver. So we're going to come in and cover those. Okay, and now we're going to put a little stripe right there. Perfect. That is pretty cool. All right. Okay, now comes our margarita again. Okay, so that's our lime yellow color. Okay, now we're going to come in and we're going to use our tape again. Okay, we got that side done. Now we're going to come in right off of our true blue to get our inside of our stripe. Okay, there we go. There's our stripes all the way underneath and around to the other side. We got a couple little spots where we hit the yellow where we weren't supposed to, but we just touched it up, a couple little dabs, and that's looking tight. Wow, look at that. Super nice. All right, here we go. Now comes the fun. We're going to do a mud wash. All right, brown, a little black, and just a little bit of water, not too much. Holy cow, is that muddy. All right, let's let all the water drain out of it. Now we're going to come in with some balled up paper towel, and we're going to start dabbing everywhere. Now we're just going to get a little bit more in some of the areas, and then you just dab right there and leave little bits of residue like that right up here. See this? That's perfect right in there. All right. Right there. That is beautiful. Beautiful. Great. And we did the same thing on this side, nice and cruddy everywhere, just an overall soot. All right, now we're going to come in with our silver. Hit some little tiny edges. just like that. Not too much, just little hits every now and then. Gives it a little bit of a chipped on the edge sort of a look. That's it. Very subtle, just a little bit on the edge, on some of these little top edges, and then right back here on the front of here. All right, we did that on both sides. Real subtle. Okay, now we're going to come in with an acid brush. Okay, this is kind of a cool technique. We're going to come in, we're going to dip our brush in, and we're going to get most of it off. Look. Right around. All right, let's take a quick look at these. Look at that right there. That's really nice. Right on that edge, right around in here, on the fronts of these little circles right here. And this is really nice too, right in here, just light scratching. And then we came up here at the front and we did it all along right here. We did it on this little front area. We got a hair from our acid brush. We did these little fronts. That's so cool. And we did that on both sides. All right, there we go. Easy stuff. Look at that, man. That thing is gross and weathered up. And you saw how easy the paint job was. We came in and we sponged on all of our dark blue. When we were done with that, we sponged on all of our true blue. And then we just started detailing. We came in, hit a little bit of silver, came in and we hand did our stripe, got our trigger, switched out our silver spots here for our indigo blue, got some striping on here. Real easy paint job. Probably the most difficult part was hand painting the stripe on here to look consistent, but that was not bad. And then as far as the weathering goes, you saw how we did that. We came in on all the black areas with our wrought iron, like right down in here and all around this area, and dabbed it all around on both sides just to give it that really nice oxidized look. That is the perfect first step in aging. And then we came in with our mud wash, brown and black. We slopped it all over, got a lot of grime and crud all over the place on there. That is super, super nice. And then finished it up with some silver scratching with a regular brush for some of the more bold scratches. Then we came in with our acid brush, kind of a dry brush technique, and swiped it across here to get some of that really nice wispy business happening there. That is really, really cool. Look at that. Wow, is that thing nice. All right, man, loving it. So with that last detail, using our acid brush and putting some of these wispy scratches on the steel there, that brings our Maliwan build to a close. There it was. You saw it, all the usual tricks, all the usual tips, all the same stuff we do in every build. You can totally do this. The paint job was the same thing. Really easy paint job, the same kind of steps we always take. Sponged our dark blue on, sponged our true blue on, brushed in, cut in with our black, did all the black, wrought iron some stuff up in there just to get the black part to look kind of oxidized. Probably the toughest part of the whole paint job was painting this stripe on here. But it worked out. We used the tape as a guide and we just followed along by hand. Went over the top of all of our shapes. Turned out great. And then we scratched it up with some silver, which is super cool. All right, there we go. That's pretty much it. That concludes making an EVA foam Maliwan. Hope you liked it. If you did, give us a like, share this with a friend, and subscribe to this channel. And together we're going to go step by step through a lot more super cool builds so that you get the props you deserve. Thanks for coming. See you next time.